everybody. This will be my first attempt at a instructional video. In case you don't know, I'm Tom Tweeden. I'm a 77-year-old physician in Arkansas. Currently, I am certifying people so that they may obtain medical marijuana cards. Medical marijuana is now legal in Arkansas, but you have to meet certain criteria. And if you meet those criteria, then you can get a card which lets you legally obtain and use marijuana in Arkansas. In Arkansas, there are 8 licensed grow houses, and there are 40 licensed dispensaries. And you're not allowed to grow your own here under any circumstance. All of the products sold in the dispensaries comes out of those grow houses. Now a few of the dispensaries are allowed to grow what I call boutique strains of cannabis. There are a lot of active ingredients in cannabis. The 2 chemicals we know the most about are CBD, cannabidiol, and THC, tetrahydrocannabinol. But there are many other chemicals, including a large group of terpenes, and we are not exactly sure how all of these things work physiologically, but they seem to work in concert better than alone, and they seem to have different effects on different people, and we can't with accuracy predict how any single individual might respond to this constellation of chemicals. So for our patients, we give them a blank journal in which they can write down the name of the product that they've tried. All of the products have a label on them, like the label on a prescription bottle, and the patient can write down what information is on that label, or even in some cases take the label off the product and paste it in the journal. Write down what's on the label, and then write down how they responded to that product. There are many different ways of getting those chemicals into our bodies. Now, obviously, people can smoke marijuana, or they can use a vape cartridge and just inhale the purified active ingredients. There are 2 ways to vape. One is buy a cartridge of the extract and put it in a vape pen. The other is to buy a different kind of vape pen that heats the plant product itself to about 200 degrees, which allows the active ingredients, the cannabinoids and the terpenes, to vaporize and then inhale those vaporized chemicals. You can buy tinctures, which are extracts made in various different ways that you can drip under your tongue, avoiding the need to inhale any foreign chemicals. You can buy concentrates that you rub on your gums that can be as high as 80% or above pure Delta 9 THC. You can buy many different forms of edibles. There are salves and lotions. There are suppositories and patches, and even encapsulated gelatin capsules of some of the concentrated chemicals. A patient will respond differently to the product based on how they consume it, If you smoke or vape, your blood level of the active ingredients, it gets as high as it's going to get within a minute of your last puff or toke. Uh, the full effect will be felt within 10 minutes, and your blood levels will taper rapidly or relatively rapidly over the course of um, 2 or 3 hours. With edibles, different story. Your blood level rises uh, slowly, peaking about 2 hours for most people after you consume the edible, and then taper slowly over the course of 7 or 8 hours for most people. Those times are quite variable from patient to patient. The effect of edibles can be quite different from the effect of inhaled product because of what's called a first pass phenomenon. That is where the uh, absorbed chemicals that are absorbed from your intestines pass through your enterohepatic circulation, which it means they're picked up by blood vessels that go directly to your liver. They pass through your liver and before they enter your general circulation. Well, your liver has enzymes in the liver cells that metabolize or change the nature of chemicals. It's where we detoxify things that get into our systems so that the chemicals that end up entering your bloodstream or your general circulation have been altered to some extent in your liver, and that alteration is varies from patient to patient. So with all of these variables, I forgot to mention, at any one time there are over 100 strains of cannabis grown in the grow houses here, each one having a different group of even different chemicals, but even the same chemicals in different proportions. So you have the variability between strains, and then the variability between modes of using the products, and we can't predict how that a patient will respond. So because of this confusion, the journal that I mentioned earlier becomes quite important. Here in Arkansas, patients have to recertify yearly. This is a redundant situation because what the physician is doing is certifying that the patient's condition has not changed. Well, the 18 different conditions that allow a patient to obtain a medical marijuana card are permanent in nature. So they're much like a fingerprint or a birth date or a social security number. They don't change. And the physician that is recertifying the patient is certifying that this patient has this condition, which has already been certified by another physician that is licensed in Arkansas and has a BNDD number or a DEA number that allows them to prescribe scheduled medications. The conditions are generally, in fact, almost uniformly permanent. A history of cancer or Crohn's disease or a seizure disorder or glaucoma, etc., don't go away, but still the patient is forced to pay a physician yearly to certify that the condition is still there. I personally don't charge for phone consultation, but I don't get many calls regarding medical marijuana, and that's because People do their own research online. They talk to other users, other patients that have similar conditions to their own. And the bud tenders, who are the people working in the dispensaries, are well versed in what they do, because all day long these bud tenders are seeing patients that have one of those qualifying conditions, and the patient has purchased material in the past and is coming back in and telling the bud tender how they responded to what they bought previously, and then voting with their wallet by buying more product. The bud tender can share this information with new patients that are trying to figure out what will work best for them, and therefore the patient will, every time he goes to a dispensary, he or she will see a bud tender and will inevitably discuss the product that he's purchasing. So I don't get a lot of calls, but we don't charge for phone consultation. Someday it will be unnecessary for patients to go through this process on a yearly basis of recertifying. But that's the law at present. A law I profit from, but disagree with. Medical marijuana is, as medicines go, extremely safe. You cannot overdose on marijuana, and you cannot get addicted to marijuana. But you can get very intoxicated with marijuana. So I'm encouraged by the state to mention to my patients that marijuana is an intoxicant, and I tell them that basically you can get what's called couch locked if you use enough of the product. You can become immobilized. You'll be unable to talk if you use enough marijuana. If you get enough delta-9 THC in your system, you may have a psychedelic experience, like a psychedelic trip, an acid trip, or a psilocybin trip. This can be desirable, or it can be very frightening. And you can have a paranoid experience, a bummer, as we say in medicine, or a dysphoric experience. If this happens, it's the delta-9 THC working in the patient's brain, and this can be partially reversed by the use of cannabidiol, CBD. You can purchase, CBD is not a controlled substance. You can purchase concentrated CBD extract in the form of a tincture that you can drip under your tongue. The CBD can partially reverse the effects of the THC, the delta-9 THC. Therefore, I encourage our patients to have a supply of CBD available in case they or someone else is having a dysphoric reaction. I also encourage them to get the CBD at a dispensary where it's been evaluated in a clinical lab. This has been a brief overview of what I tell my new patients when I see them for the first time. The first visit to obtain a medical marijuana card in Arkansas has to be an in-person visit, but after that, the recertification process can be done through telemed. I'll see y'all later.